had a good day. So we are going to take off from where we left yesterday. And yesterday we did cover an introduction to Power BI. I think Alfred had indicated that we have three components of Power BI. We have the Power BI desktop, the Power BI mobile, and the Power BI service. And everything starts from the Power BI desktop, where we develop our reports, we build our reports, we load our data, we model, we build visualizations, then we publish to Power BI service. From then, we can even distribute to the users using the Power BI service, and they can even be consumed on Power BI mobile. And yesterday we talked about Power BI having 4 views. We have said that there is the report view, there is the table view, there is the model view, and the DAX view. And we have demonstrated how we import our data from various data sources. And we have said that there are a number of data sources. There are and we have said that there are a number of data sources. Yeah, so I'm being told here that there are new members, so I think I might need to demonstrate a bit so that we can be on the same page. So we have said that there are 3 views in Power BI. We have said that this first view, where we are right now, this is the report view, and this one is the table view, where we can actually see the data or the data that is in our tables. And from this table view, we have the model view, where we can see the structure or the organization of our tables. And from this one, we have the DAX query view, where we can write our DAX queries. Right. And from this one, right, we have indicated that for us to connect to various data sources, we have a number of connectors that we use. We don't connect directly to the data source, but we make use of connectors which are built in within Power BI. So if you click on this get data here, it will actually take you to this pop-up where we have a number of data sources. If you click more, you can see that we have a number of data sources. They can be file-based data sources, they can be database-based data sources, Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform, Azure, online services, and many other data sources. And we are going to demonstrate some of these and how we import data from these data sources. But the way we import data from this is not that different. And yesterday we had indicated that we also have this on this far right, we have the filters, and on the filters we have 3 types of filters. We have the visual level filters, we have the page level filters, as well as the report level filters, which affect all the pages that we have on our Power BI, right? And these visualizations span which is a number of visuals. So we have the stacked bar chart, the stacked column chart, the line chart, the tree map, key influencers, the decomposition trees, the tables, the matrix, among other visualizations. And on this way it says data. This is where we have our tables, where we can pick various fields from our tables for the sake of visualizations or for creating custom tables or measures, as you shall see. So yesterday we had demonstrated that for us to get our data from the data sources, you come here where it says get data, you click on this one, and yesterday we imported our data from an Excel workbook, and this is how we do it. You come over here, select get data, Excel workbook, then you navigate to the directory or where your data is stored. So here I'm going to select Google Drive because this is where our data is stored. Right, so I'm going to select this one, AdventureWorks DB, which is our data source that we are going to use. Then we select what? Open. And once we click open, we are now connecting to the what? To the data source. And because our data is on an Excel workbook, it's on a number of sheets. So this is what we have. And if you click on any of these tables, you can see a preview of the data that we have on each and every table, right? If you click on this salespeople, this is what we see. Let me click on 2020 sales. This is a preview of the data that is in the 2020 sales table. And we are going to select the tables that we have selected yesterday. So we are going to select all those tables that do not have a blue top. So we select 2020 sales, 2021 sales, 2022. Any budget 2, budget 1. Our customers, date ranges, location, products, and salespeople, right? And here there are two options. There is either the load data option or the transform data. That load data, we use it when we just want to bypass the transform stage to just load our data into Power BI. But for the sake of this session, we need to go through the transform data option so that we can load our data into our Power Query editor window, which is our ETL tool that we use to. We have extracted the data. Now we need to transform it to make sure that it's in the right format before we can work with our visualizations. Right, this is what we have. Okay. Right, this is what we have, right? So yeah, this is what we have. Yeah, so we have quite a number of tables. I think they have repeated because I have not created a new file. I should have created a new file, but I think no problem. Maybe what we are going to do here, you can just close that one and create a new file. Okay, I will delete this quickly. Create a new file. Okay, close that one. Okay, let me close this one so that I can create a new file to avoid confusion. We go to file, then blank report, so that we can start on a new Power BI file. Right, it's loading. It's taking a bit longer. Right. It's now open, so I'm going to load my data. We've selected get data, then Excel workbook. We now want to select our database so that we can pick the tables that we want. Right, we go to right. We have selected this AdventureWorks DB. Right, then we select open. Connecting to our data source. Right. Our tables are loading. Yeah, guys, confirm you can see my screen. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to select our sales people from the let me select from the top, sales 2020, 2021, 2022, budget 1 and 2, the customers, date ranges, and locations. These are our tables. And then we select transform data. And once we've selected transform data, we have chosen to take the extract, transform, and load route, which is the ETL. And we have said that you can start by selecting by loading the data set, then you can transform, which is what? Extract, load, and what? Into transform, or extract, transform, and load. But we have said that we can, yeah, we are encouraged to follow the extract, transform, and load simply because it helps us to avoid a lot of errors associated with the data types. So let us load our data. Loading. So 8. It's taking quite long. Let's wait. Right, and our data is loaded, so we can now transform our data. Right, it's now loaded. So this window now is called the Power Query window, which is the tool that we use in Power BI, also available in Excel to transform data. And our transformation steps, if you click, let's start from the top. If you click on sales people here, you can actually see that on your far right there are two things. There's this properties where you can when from here where it says name, you can change the name of that table or the name of that query to a name that you want. For example, here on salespeople, we can say salesperson. Then we click enter. It's now changed. Then on these applied steps here, these are the names of the steps that we have taken in transforming our data, right? And you can delete each step to go to revert to that step before, in case you have made a mistake. And if you can pay attention to this sales people table here, there is this column 1 and column 2, and we need this one to read sales person ID and sales person name.
So maybe before he explains the transformation for each table, right? So if you can check on the top ribbon of your Power BI, there is the transform tab. In fact, there is the home, right? And there are all those transformation steps that you can do. Keeping rows, removing rows, choosing columns. On management, we can delete, we can reference. Then we can also create parameters. I think we have time to check on parameters. We can split columns. For example, date and time by character. We can group, we can use first row as a header, we can replace values, merge and append. Then on the transform tab, there are also some transformation steps that you can do. And in case that the capability of the functions that come out of the box in Power BI are not meeting your requirements, you can even run R or Python scripts to cement on your analytics. Then on the add column, then on the view here, I think what's important is the column quality, the column profile, and column distribution. I think we are going also to explain this. Then on the tools, diagnosis, they work when you are diagnosing your query performance to say which table is taking longer to load, so that you can optimize and also refine your model. I think I just thought I should add on that. So, and remember, the tool that we are using is called what? It's called Power Query. It's the tool that is also in Excel. It's a tool for data ETL, for data cleaning, extraction, transformation. It works on that. And the process that you are following, like we said, you can do ETL, that's extract, transform, load, or ELT, extract, load, transform. But we usually encourage ETL, extract, transform, load, because you would load only refined data so that you don't stress your model by unnecessary columns and unnecessary data. So I think you can continue.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks so much for that one. So we are going to proceed with our transformation here. And with our salesperson table or sales people on your site table selected, we are going to do our first transformation here. So here we have said that we need to change the column headers here, so that we can have salesperson ID and salesperson name as the headers. So to do that, if you can look at this one, we are going to come here where it says use first row as headers. Then we select here so that we can promote our headers. Then use first row as what? As headers. We select this one. Then we have our headers here. Then on the data type, if you click on this part where it says ABC, you can change from one data type to another depending on the data type that you need and that you deem appropriate. So here, this is a text. This is a text. So we are going to leave it like this. And also from this one, he was highlighting something to do with the splitting columns. He said that we can do column splitting. So here I'm going to demonstrate how we can split this one in case we need to split this one into first name and last name. So you select the column, then you come to this part where it says split column, and we need to split by delimiter, right? Then you select this one, and then here we need to select the rightmost delimiter. Then here, the delimiter that we need is the space, because the first name and the last name is separated by a space. Then we select the rightmost delimiter in case that person has two names, the first name and the middle name. Then here we select OK. So you can see here our first name and last name is split. And from here, you can rename this one. And to rename, you just double click on the column name. Then you can put a name that you want. For example, first name. Then here we can say last name. Right? And on these steps, in case you have made a mistake or else you decide that you no longer want to perform that steps, you can what? You can delete. For example, here I can delete this where it says rename. Then I can revert back to that previous step. So here let me say last name. That is what you can do, right? This one, first name, right? This is what we have here. And also from this one, you can add some custom columns. You can add some custom columns in case maybe our data was something like this, and then maybe we need to have a column with the first name and last name combined, and we need to create a column like that. So how we do it is you come to this part where it says add column, right? Then you select custom column. Then here let me say full name. This is the name of the column. And I think Alfred yesterday was mentioning something to do with M code, where he said that you can make use of M code to do a number of things. For example, to add a new column. And this language that we are using here is M code, right? I think this is the simplest demonstration of M code. So here we are going to write a formula just like in Excel. This formula is going to combine or concatenate that first name and what? And the last name, right? Then here we say text dot from, right? Then you select that first name. Then you say end. Then text dot from. Then you say last name. Something like this, right? Here there are no syntax errors that have been detected. Then you what? You select OK. We have something like this. Okay, it's not separated. So let me revert back. I want to delete that one. Then let's try to create a space in between. We say full name. Then here we say text dot from, right? First name. And here I think let's use this one. Then end text dot from last name, right? And we have used this double quotes to space our column, like the first name and the last name. Then you select OK. Yeah, this is what we have. Oh, beautiful. So you can create different types of columns. For example, here we can make use of M code, or in case we don't want to use M code, you can we can say add column from what? From examples, right? Then from here, we are going to type the example that we want. And here we say Robert Fred Robertson, right? Then on the second, are you seeing that? It will now create a column using the example that we have set on the first row. We have written Fred Robertson, and then those are the highlights. And to accept this convention, we just select what? Okay. Then we can have our what? Our column created. So this is a column from what? From examples. We can make use of M code. We can make use of column from examples and many other things that we can do. And then from here again, what we can do is we can even duplicate the column to create a copy of that column. You just come over here, then you say what? Duplicate. It will create a copy of that column. In case maybe you need to perform some ordering of the data, or else you need to sort at some point, you might need to create an index column. So what you do is you just come over here where it says index column, then you say from what? From a number that you want. And in this case, maybe we need this index to start from what? From 1. Then you just select something like this. We can have our index column. Maybe we need to perform some addition, some counting, or some looping through our data. So this is it on columns. So let me remove these steps so that we can proceed, because we don't need this, but I just have done this for the sake of demonstration. Right, let's delete this step again. So this is the advantage of the applied steps. You can just come to the applied steps, then you can select this one, this icon, this X icon, and you remove the steps that you would have applied. Yeah, this is our original our original columns, and we are going to work with them like this. Then we come to the products. We need to do some transformation here. Is there anything that we need to change here? Product, this is text is good. This one is good. Then the cost, maybe we need to change this one from decimal number to a fixed decimal number. And this is how we do it. You come where it says 1, 2, 3. If it says 1, 2, 3, that means that column is of type decimal number, and you can change from that data type to another. And because this one is a currency, we are going to change to a fixed decimal number. Right? Then it will give us a pop-up like this. You can choose to replace the current step or else to add a new step. It's always a good practice to add a new step, because in case you have made an error, you can always delete that step to revert back to the previous stage. Then here we are going to select add new step. Right? You can have that step added. Then you come to the original price. We change this one to a fixed decimal number. This one again, current price. The taxes, let's do that again. Think we are good here. Then we come to the 2020 sales. It says, I think let's leave these ones. Then we proceed to this, because we need to combine this. Here, we can even change the name of the query or the name of the table. For example, we can say this is budget 1, and that is budget 2. Here, do we need to change anything? I think we can change this one to a currency. Right? This is a right. We add a new step. Are you guys following?
Makumanya.
Pane pandangosara hangu patext from up. Tiri kuseparata sei the first one and the second one.
Okay, fine. I will demonstrate that. Yeah, but that is text from, we were here, right? And we're having something like, let me split this one. Right? We split this column by a delimiter. Right? Then we use the rightmost. Select OK. Right? Yeah, so this is our we say this one is a first name, then this one we can put last name, right? So we have something like this, right? So we have said we can add a new column using M code, right? We can just type that formula in M code. So here we put the name of the column that we need. It's we are going to say first full name. Then here we say text dot from, right? We need a text from the first name, right? Then we close. Then here and we are going to concatenate that text from the first name with this space so as to create a space between the first name and the last name, right? Then we say end. And by end, we are saying we are concatenating that first name, that is space operation, in the last name. Then we say text dot from, right? Then the text from the last name, something like this. Then we select OK. I think I've made a mistake. Okay, I've made a mistake. Or text dot from. Yeah, this one is case sensitive. Let me take that again. You have said it's a text dot from. Text from first name and this space, then text dot from this one. Then we accept them. Then you select what? Okay. Yeah, we have something like this. Did you get that?
Ndaona error. I don't know where the error is coming from. Once the expression error, we cannot apply fields access to the type function. Don't know where that is coming from.
What is the error?
Expression error, we cannot apply fields access to the function, to the type function. Details, value function, key, salesperson, name dot two.
Yeah, I think this one is case sensitive. So make sure that that t text dot that t is the caps. Then f is a caps. The rest are small letters. So you have to make sure that you do exactly as that. Otherwise, it will give you an error
Okay.
because this is case sensitive. So let me remove those steps. Right. I think in this course we don't use M extensively. So I think this one is just for demonstration purposes. I think if you find time, if you need, you might need to look at that. But all you need is just to appreciate that there's M code, and there are instances where you might need to use M code in case the other functionalities are not satisfying what you want. Right? We were on this budget, right? I think we were done here. Yeah, so let's move on to this one. Right. On table customers, I think a transformation that we need here is to promote the headers. And we have said for us to promote the headers, you use the option of promoting the headers by going to this option where it says use first row as headers. Then you say use first row as headers. Then you can have something like this. Then I think this one is done. Just move to the date ranges. Do we need to change anything here? We don't. On the locations, let's check state code, state type. I think you don't need to change anything here. Yeah, maybe median income. This one is not a decimal. You need to change to a fixed decimal. We add a new step. Right, what else? I think we are done. Right, I think, yeah, we now need to merge this. If you can look at the structure of the tables here, or even the number of the columns, this one is having order ID, product ID, location ID, go up to price. Then the sales 2021 again is having the same columns. Sales 2022 is having the same columns. So if we connect these tables one by one, I think it will create a complication. So what we need to do is to combine this into one table. And we have said that there are two ways of combining tables in Power BI. You can either use the merge option or the append option. And we have said that the merge option is used where you need to combine two tables into one using a field that is common between the two tables, right? And the append operation is sort of adding one table on top of another, which is similar to the VSTEC option in Excel, where you can add one table on top of another. And because here the number of columns is the same, or even the structure of the data, we are going to make use of the append option to combine these tables into one. And for us to append our data, we are going to make use of this option. Depending on the version of your Power BI, I think the append queries option might be located somewhere different. But this one, if you go to the home, then you navigate to the top right here where it says append queries. You select on the drop down, then we are going to select the append queries as new. There's also that option of appending queries. It will override the existing query that you have. And here we are going to select the append queries as new because we need to create a new query that is separate from the original data that we have. And here there are two options. There is these two tables or three or more tables. Here we select the three or more tables because we have three sales tables, the one for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And here we have sales 2020. We are going to double click. That one is added. You double click, that one is added. And in case you have added a table by mistake, for example, and we have selected the budget that you don't need, you can just highlight that one. You click on this X icon here to remove it. Then you can have the tables that you want. Then here to append, you select what? Okay. Then you can have a new query added. If we had selected the append queries, not the append queries as new, we're not going to have a new query like this. A new query has been created because we have selected the append queries as new, right? Then we can rename this one. You need to say sales, then 2020 to 2022, something like this. Is there anyone with a question so far? I guess we are all following, right? This is our sales table combined. So let's try to do some transformation steps here. The data type here, this one text, this one text, this one is a date. I think it's fine that way. This one is quantity, the price. Maybe we might need to change this one to a fixed decimal number. And we have something like this. Then this one is combining our cells tables into one, right? Which means if we load this one, we can overload our model. So what we need is to make sure that this one is not loaded into our model. And that is always a good practice. And how we do that is you come to this table, right? It says sales, it says 2020 sales. Then you can right click on this one, you select enable, load here, you untick, right? And if you untick, it will be itemized like this. Then you come to the 2021 sales, you do the same. The 2022 sales, you do the same, right? So if you do this, these tables will be here, but they will not be loaded into your model. They will not be loaded into your model. Right? And if you are satisfied that you have done the necessary work of transforming your data, you can then load your data into Power BI. Right? And how we load is you come here where it says close and apply. Then you select what? Close and apply. And your data will be loaded into your Power BI desktop application. Let's wait. And in case you have made errors on this stage, your data can fail to load into Power BI. And what you need to do is then go back to that Power Query Editor window where you can address some of the errors. Then you can close and apply again. And how you do that is you come to this transform data option here. It will take you to the Power Query Editor window where you can do some transformations that you want.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
You proceed?
I see there's a message here that says there are pending changes in your queries that haven't been applied. What would have happened?
Yeah, we were making some changes in Power Query Editor window. So those changes have not yet been applied. So here, where it says loading, we are now applying those changes to our data, right? And once it's fully loaded, that message will disappear because we have applied those changes to our data set.
Okay.
Right. I think that message has disappeared here, which means all the changes that we were making have been applied. Right. So yeah, we need to save this one so that in case our machine goes off, we always have that file. Select save as. So this file will be saved as a PBIX file, which is the extension for Power BI file. So here I'm going to select the directory to save my file. Right. Our file is set. Right. Yeah. These are our tables. Right. So from here, before we do anything else, we need to do modeling, which is the first stage after cleaning the data. So what we need to do is to come to the modeling view here, the model view. Right. Yeah, you come to the model view, right? Right. I think it's now visible. Let me Yeah, so if you can look at this one, you can actually see that our tables have been connected automatically because Power BI is that option of automatically.
Sorry,
Yes, you can proceed.
how do you zoom in and zoom out?
You can come to this bottom right.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I was saying that you can see here that our relationships have been detected automatically and our tables have been connected based on the intelligence of Power BI, because Power BI has that inbuilt intelligence to detect the relationships between these tables, right? So you can either follow this option or else you can delete all these relationships so that you can connect from scratch. So here we are going to delete these relationships and then connect our tables from scratch.
Maybe before you go that, right? So maybe I need to add something. So by modeling, we are saying it's a logical connection between our data. The data that we have is some relationships that it has. Imagine that all this data is in one sheet. We will not need that relationship, but it will create problems. We have redundancy, we have duplication, we have data inconsistencies, and it will be difficult to manage. So our data is normalized in this case. So for database design, we have what we call an entity relationship diagram. I think we are going to cover that in detail when you are going to do SQL. So imagine that you are a teacher. And we have a class. Maybe let's try to do an ERD, maybe just for a few seconds so that you can understand what we mean by modeling. So let me open my Painter. I want to draw some few things. Okay, so tables or entities, they are real world objects. Like here, a product, a salesperson, location. It's either a verb or a noun. So suppose this is a school, right? We have some entities that are there, and these entities, they have some relationship, what we call entity relationship diagram or ERD. So on top here we can give it a name. You can say this is a student, this is teacher, and this is, you can say this is class, right? A student is a student ID, right? A teacher is an EC number or a teacher ID, we can call EC. Then class is a class ID, right? So, but a student belong to a class. So for us to know the class from which this student belongs to, we need a class G, a class ID. Then to know maybe the class teacher for this class, we may need the EC number for that teacher. So, and these ones may be connected by some relationships. And those relationships is what? Is some direction. So a student can belong to only one class. So that will be 1, and here many. But a class can have many students. So that's a one-to-many relationship, right? A class can have what? Many teachers. And a teacher can have many classes. That's a many-to-many relationship. Okay? So that's what we call an ended. So that's what we are trying to model to see how are these tables related. So in Power BI, we have to see how are these tables related. And like I said, we have what we call a star schema and what? And snowflake scheme. So we are trying to create relationships so that our data starts to communicate and we can do queries, because we have to build a report based on fields that are existing in these reports. But these reports are connected using relationships. So when you see a star, it means it's many. When you see a 1, it's 1. So for example, here on sales to customer, it's 1 on the sales, it's 1 on the customer and many on what? On the sales. It means one customer can have many sales, but a sale can only belong to one customer. Okay? And the filter direction is always from the 1 to the many side, which means we can filter sales by a customer ID. So that's the direction of the filter. So I hope it's now clear.
Sorry. I think you can repeat on the star and the field. I did not get that one.
All right.
Yeah. So what he was trying to say is, Kuti, from this one, you can see that there's a 1 here and there's a star here, right? And there's an arrow pointing down, which means this customer ID here, we can filter all the cells belonging to a specific customer. For example, if we have maybe customer ID 1, right? We can see all the cells associated with that customer. That is what it means. And that one
Okay.
that one can be single direction,
What
or it can go in both directions, like this.
what about the star?
The star is the main side.
Yeah, the star is the main side here, and this one, if you can see here, there's a 1 here and there's a star here. So this one, it means this budget in the sales 2020 is connected by a 1-to-many relationship. And in this case, maybe we can say each location is one what? Maybe let me explain with customers so that it can be right. So from here, each customer is many orders. That's what we can say.
Okay, so maybe to simplify it, let's take it. It could be marriage in our social setup. In the Christian fraternity, they say a marriage constituted by God is 1 man, 1 wife. That's a 1-to-1 relationship. But in our ATR, some may say 1 man can have many wives. So that's a 1-to-many. But there are some things that are not possible at times. We cannot have a cell and attribute it to two customers. We sell a sales ID is linked to only one customer. It cannot be linked to many customers. So that's the one side of it. But a one customer can have many sales. For example, yourself, suppose you are buying a 2K and they are keeping your loyalty card with your customer ID number. You can buy as many times as you want there. And if you want to go and fetch your records, you can fetch those records by your customer ID. But for all your records, they are only attributed to you and not anyone else. Right? So if it means we want to filter all your cells, we can filter all your cells by what? By your customer ID. So I hope it's now clear.
Yeah, so on the concept of relationships, I was saying that there are two ways of creating relationships. You can either auto-detect if that relationship is detectable by Power BI built-in intelligence, or else you can create them manually, right? So, for example, here on the locations in the budget, they are connected by what? By location ID. If you click on this one, you can see the fields with which these two tables are created. And on this one, you can right click. You can either delete or edit some properties on this one. So let's try to delete this relationship, which is here, right? Then we delete. So what this one means is these two tables are not connected in any way because there is no relationship linking
Sorry,
two tables.
the setup of delete up.
About delete, you just go on the line which is connecting the two tables, then you right click and delete.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Yeah, so to create a relationship between these two, what you do is here we need to connect these two tables using the location what? The location ID. So you can select this one, right?
Why did you use location ID?
We connect this one using a field which is common between the two. Here, there's the location ID.
Not only a common field, but a key. Because we have what you call a primary key and a foreign key. So if you can check between the two tables, right? We have the location and the primary key there is location ID. Then in the budget as well, we have what? We have the budget, maybe name, which will be the primary key. Maybe to explain it also better, let's use the customer and sales, right? In the customers, we have a customer ID, which is the customer ID, which is the primary key. But if we go into sales now, we have a customer ID as well, which means customer ID in the sales is a foreign key. So it means it's the field that we are using to connect those two. Let's also go maybe on salesperson and salesperson and sales. There's a salesperson ID in the sales, right? Which is a foreign key. And in the salesperson, there is salesperson ID, which is the primary key. So we use that field to join the two. And let's go on products and the sales, right? In the product, there is a product ID, which is primary to that, which means in most cases, we give it a name for that table. Product, then ID, which means it's the key for that. It's a unique identifier. Like yourself, you have a national identification number or your ID or your passport number. It's unique to yourself and no one else should have that. So if we go to the registrar general and we see someone having your ID number, there is something wrong. A ID number is unique to yourself. So it means even on all your documents, they could be certificates, they could be your title deeds. They have your ID number, which means if you want to identify that who owns these documents, we use the ID number. So maybe to explain that these tables that you are seeing, we have fact and dimension. Fact, how do we identify a fact table? A fact table, we identify a table that has many foreign keys that is being referenced, that is borrowing keys from other tables. It's called a fact. And in most cases, it will be central and it will be having like joins or the stars that are coming out of it.
Right. So Yeah, to proceed, I was about to. Okay, me right. So here, this location ID here is a primary key in the locations table. So to create a relationship between these two, you select that field, and how you select is you hover over that one. Then you what? You select it, like you drag it uh, to the table where you need to connect, right? Something like this. You can have a paper like this, where it says from the table locations, we are connecting location ID to the table budget by what? By location ID. And the cardinality here is one to many by default. So it's one to one, right? So and there are many relationships that we have. There is many to many relationship, one to many, many to one, and one to one, right? So in this case, we need to select this one. And the one to one and the many to many relationships are not recommended in Power BI. They are not recommended. If you have many to many relationships, it's always encouraged to decompose them, maybe by forming a bridge table so that you can have one to many or many to one relationships, right? And here we are going to select many to one relationships. And the filter direction here is yeah, let's leave it like this. Then you select save.
Yangu is popping up that menu ya kuboda. Don't
But
know what's going on.
are the two tables connected? Because it might not give a pop-up, then the two tables are connected.
Yeah, it was on a connector later, but high school budita that menu.
I
But
think,
it pane pekutenga panamboita yabuda iri 1-to-1. Pechitobva yazobuda yave 1-to-many.
okay, I think that's fine. So maybe if it does that, you can just point on the line, then you right click, then you select the properties, and you can always edit the relationship.
Okay.
Yes.
But why are we then editing the relationship? Is it not just supposed to be automatic? To say if it's 1-to-1, then that's just it. Why are we then editing the relationship?
Maybe it might have selected by default, but here we have said that one-to-one relationships and the man-to-man relationships are not encouraged here. So you have to make sure that they are one-to-many or man-to-one. And in cases where maybe they are one-to-one, you might need to join two tables into one. And I think maybe if we find the time, we are going to demonstrate that.
What basis are we using to say I'm going to define this as 1-to-many as opposed to the 1-to-1 that has been selected by the system?
Yeah, I think maybe to demonstrate that, let me make use of the sales and customers, because I think it's a bit easier here. So what we are saying here is we connect using the here on the customers table here. We have the customer ID, right? And the customer ID is the unique identifier of each and every customer in our data set. And then this customer ID again is here in our sales table. So we make use of that to connect these two, so that in any case, if we need to see the sales which have been contributed by that customer, we can identify them using the customer ID, right? So here, let me try to delete this one, right? We delete this, right? Then to create a relationship here, what we do is you drag that customer ID into the customer ID in the sales table here. Then it will give you a pop-up like this. Then if it doesn't, then you can always edit the relationship. Then here, by default, it's giving us this one-to-many. And this intelligence, sometimes, remember, we are making use of artificial intelligence here, right? This is more of artificial intelligence. And the answers from this, or the options here, are not always correct. So you just have to you have to use your intuition to determine which is the right thing for my model. So it's just like answers from ChatGPT. You cannot just copy and paste answers from ChatGPT. You have to determine.
To add on that, so if you just drag and drop, you can even join on columns that are not related, and that relationship will still be formed, but it will be wrong. So you will see it when you now be developing your model. It won't work. For example, here we can join customer ID on location ID or even on product ID. That relationship will be established. But in actual fact, there won't be any relationship because the product ID is not related to customer ID. So using the option of dragging and dropping, you should be careful. So maybe when you are now used to it, when you drag, you should drop on top of the matching column, so that you don't make any mistake. Or you can use the option of detecting the relationship. I think you can demonstrate that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so here, once we have connected, you can select save. But before that, there is this option where it says make this relationship active, right? We can either have an active relationship or in an inactive relationship, right? I think I'll demonstrate that. So let me save this one, right? Our relationship is now created. We have something like this, right? But maybe let's say these relationships were not created and we have all these tables unconnected. So I'm going to delete all these connections that we have, right? I come over here, I delete this, come over here, I delete this again. Right, I come over here, I delete this.
Yeah, so you discover that maybe for some, you don't have this relationship, especially on the data cleaning. So one of the best practices is to name your columns well, and it helps Power BI to detect this relationship. So you might not have the relationships like what's being shown on your screen. So in case you don't have those relationships, that's where the business understanding will come in to say how is the table arranged from the source, how are they connected?
Yeah, I think that's very important, and that's when maybe you need to understand the business logic and what is the flow of data maybe within the systems. Yeah, so in case maybe our tables are not connected like this, we can either create the relationships manually, like what we were trying to do, where you drag one field and then you place it on top of the field that you need to connect with. Or else you can auto detect relationships in case maybe Power BI have not detected the relationships automatically. So what you need is you come here where it says manage what? Relationships, right? There's this option here. And there's this new relationship. If you select this one, it will give you an option to connect the tables. For example, you can select here customers and then the what? The sales, right? Then here you want to connect that customer ID and the what? And the customer ID, right? The customer ID from the customers table and the customer ID from the sales table. Then you can what? You can save the relationship. Then you can have that relationship created. That is a manual way of creating the relationships. But maybe you don't want to create that relationship manually. So how you do is you come here where it says auto detect relationships. So by doing this, Power BI will call or will invoke the intelligence to automatically detect the relationships which exist in our data set, right? So let's click on auto detect and see what Power BI will give us. It says found new found 5 new relationships which have been added to the semantic data model. Then you select what? Close. These are the relationships that have been created. Right? There are instances. Right? Our relationship is created. There are instances. Let me check something here. What's connecting these two? Right. So let's see. Let's come over here. Right. Let's say maybe I think Alfred was saying that we can connect these two tables maybe using any field. For example, order ID to custom ID here. Let's try to connect. We take this one to order ID, right? Something like this, right? And we want to create a relationship when there is an already active relationship, right? So which means that is a second relationship that we are creating between those tables. So now that relationship will no longer be active, but it will be an inactive relationship. So I've said there is an active relationship or an inactive relationship, right? The one that we have already by default is active, right? So if you want to make this one, for example, active, that's when you select to make this relationship active. And we cannot have two active relationships between the tables. If we make this one active, it means automatically that other relationship becomes inactive. That other relationship becomes inactive. I think this concept is important. In cases where, for example, we have order date, we have delivery date, and where maybe we might need to interconnect two tables using those. Yeah, that's when those concepts will work. So this is it on relationships and modeling. Any question as far as what we have covered is concerned?
So I just want to ask you, the budget, true and jet range